Hello, I'm Bella May. Today I'm embarking on a kind of fun, spur-of-the-moment project, and it has to do kind of with what's happening in the world right now with this pandemic. And the reason I decided to do this random project is because I'm in the middle of making my replica of Christine's Masquerade dress from the Phantom of the Opera movie. And I'm about halfway through, kind of-ish. And I'm kind of getting to the point where I need something to distract me a little bit so that I can come back to that project and have fresh perspective and kind of just fresh energy. Because that's kind of how I am with projects. I get about halfway through and then I kind of like my energy level. So I need something to like pick me back up. And often that's just another random project. So I am planning to make an outfit inspired by this photo here.
Scratch that. This photo is actually from 1913 and is apparently introducing the new veil fashion of that year. This information is courtesy of Karolina Zabrowska, and I am very glad that I saw this information on her Instagram before I edited this video because, well, obvious reasons.
I've been seeing a lot of photos circulating on Instagram and such about the 1918 pandemic, and it kind of helped me have a perspective change as far as what we're dealing with today, because when you think about what they were dealing with in 1918, they were dealing with a pandemic as we are today, but that was just after World War I. I mean, you survived World War I and then you go through a pandemic. I mean, that generation endured a lot. I mean, First World War, the 1918 pandemic, Great Depression, and then World War II. I mean, that's in like 30 to 40 years, all that happened. And for me, seeing these pictures kind of helped like bring everything into perspective. And I just found it helpful for me. I'm not saying that today's circumstances aren't bad or whatever. I'm just saying it helped me gain some perspective. And also, when you think about the gorgeous clothes they wore back then, it was kind of an inspiration for me, like, maybe I can make a outfit based on 1918, and because it relates to the pandemic. So that's what I'm gonna do on this spur-of-the-moment project that I probably shouldn't be doing, but I found some fabric in my fabric stash that I actually got for free from my grandma, and I was like, this would be perfect for this outfit. And so I decided to do it. And also, on top of this, I actually decided to buy patterns. If you've watched my channel before, you know that I pretty much don't use patterns. I actually find them confusing a lot of the time. Much prefer just draping fabric on a dress form and playing around with it and putting it together. I mean, literally that's how my brain works. And a pattern sometimes fries my brain. So I'm gonna do my best to figure out this pattern. So I decided to purchase my patterns from Wearing History. And I purchased a blouse pattern. This is her Elsie blouse. And I'm gonna be making this out of just a basic linen. And I might add some insertion lace in it. Yeah, I probably shouldn't, but I probably will. And then I also purchased her 1910s suit pattern. For right now, I'm just gonna make the skirt because I probably don't have time to get the jacket done in time to release this video when it's still relevant. So this is my social distancing project. And then I also bought Scroop's Willa corset pattern. With shipping and stuff, I just decided to purchase all PDF because that's easier, even though it was a bunch of paper. So good thing we don't have a shortage of paper, which also comes to question trees, but that's my plan. So let's get started.
First things first, the corset. This is Scroop's corset pattern, and after I got it all assembled, I went on and made the draft.
Here's draft number 1, and I'm pretty happy with it. The fit's really good. I don't have the boning in it, so that'll take care of the wrinkles. It was really long, so I'm going to trim it quite a bit to make it a little more reasonable. And then the lacing is quite far apart. So I'm going to add some to the whole pattern just so that the lacing comes in a little bit closer. But other than that, it's pretty good. And yes, I'm wearing my pants underneath it. So that's affecting the hips a little bit, but not too bad.
Once I made the adjustments to the draft, the next part was to cut out the cortile layer and the fashion fabric. I got this fashion fabric from the bargain basement at Costume College when I went in 2018. I think this fabric is perfect for this corset. I absolutely love the color.
Alright, I'm done for the day. I've got quite a few hours in, maybe about 4. I got the corset drafted, and then I got it cut out of the coutil and the outer fashion layer, and I have that all basted together. So yesterday I only spent about a half an hour on the project because I just had other things going on, but I did manage to get the bust inserted to the front, and then I also prepped the back section for the grommets. So now I'm just gonna spend an hour or so before I move on to my other projects planned for the day, and I'm just gonna get as much as I can done with it. Hopefully I can get it all assembled and ready for boning. We'll see.
Doing the grommets is probably my least favorite part. I think I let out a little scream each time I tap that hammer and it cuts a hole, because holes in something you just spent time on, always a scary thought. I constructed this corset with the welt method, at least that's what I believe it's called. I did do it with the seams being on the outside, which means that the boning channels are on the outside of the corset versus on the inside of the corset, if that makes sense. I did this just to reduce some bulk that would be against my skin. I felt like the outside boning channels seemed just a little more practical. Anyways, that was my thought, at least.
It's been a couple days since I've been able to really put some work in on this 1918 project, but today I'm going to focus a little more on it and hoping that I'll be able to get the corset complete and then maybe draft the blouse. That's a lot, probably a bit ambitious, but we're going to try.
There is a lot of hand sewing that I did with this corset. I tacked down the facing on the corset, and then I also did all the binding hand sewn because I thought the look would be nicer, and I always like hidden seams and attachments and things like that.
So as you can see, the corset is wearable, but I didn't completely finish it, and I definitely didn't get around to drafting the blouse. I mean, what was I thinking? Everything takes longer than you think it's gonna take, at least for me. All that's left to do is a bunch of hand sewing, or no, not a bunch, just hand sewing. I'm gonna get that done tonight while I watch something, but basically the things that I need to do is tack down the bottom binding edge, floss the ends of the boning because I'm kind of addicted to flossing now and I want to do it on all my corsets. Then also I'm gonna place the lace along this edge. But other than that, it's completely done. So I'm very happy about that. And I'm gonna get it done today, so I'll meet that goal, but I won't be drafting the blouse. But I'm happy. I'm happy with this, how this turned out. I think it's really comfortable. I wasn't really sure what to think about the very long over the hips corsets. I never had worn one before, and I really wasn't sure what it was gonna feel like. Personally, I think it's really comfortable. The one thing I would say is my bust is a little long for this style. It's a little bit hard to sit, not too bad, but I didn't have one in stock that was a little bit shorter, so I kind of just did it, and I'll live with it, and it's fine, and it's still comfortable to sit and such, but next time I would use a little shorter busk. And now we can move on to the rest of the outfit. So believe it or not, this is the draft blouse. Draft blouse. I decided to kind of add the finishing touches to first of all practice what I will do on the real blouse, but also I plan to finish this up and kind of keep it as a blouse that I can just use whenever. And then on my next blouse, I'm gonna make the neckline slightly larger so that I can close this all the way up, as you can see now, it wouldn't go right now. I wanna have that capability to close it all the way up and put like a tie or something like that. But really, overall, it fits really well. I will say, I think I'm gonna go one size up from what I cut this blouse at. It fits well, but I just feel like I could use a little extra room, a little bit looser, a little more blousey style. And then I did figure out how to do this lap here. I don't think it's exactly the way that Wearing History's pattern tells you how to do it, and the patterns they use, I adjusted it slightly, and I found a really helpful article as far as how to do this, and man, it was very helpful, and that's how I did it. So I'm gonna link that down below if you wanna try that technique, because I could not figure out how hers was done. I looked in my book also and saw this style in there, so I knew that it'd be okay to use this style. So I did practice it on both sides, and I really like how they look. I put a drawstring in instead of a stationary one. I figured that'd be smarter because if I ever want to wear it as with a larger corset, just not a cinched waist or whatever, I could have that and just have that flexibility. This one only took me a couple hours to make, so I was pretty happy about that, knowing that with my next one, yeah, I'm gonna add a couple extra hours because I'm gonna make it more detailed, and so that of course will add some time. But overall, it was very easy to assemble, even though there's no instructions. Anyways, and yes, the corset is completely done, and I'm very happy with it. I love the flossing and the lace, it just pulls it all together. Anyways, let's move on.
I used a linen for this blouse, and I am absolutely thrilled with this fabric. It is literally the best fabric I have ever worked with. Yeah, maybe a little slippery, but I'm really in love with it. Introducing the most amazing trick for turning points that are smaller than squares. There's a better way to say that, and I actually have a blog post about this, which I will link down below, but it is absolutely the best.
With the blouse, I have all the pieces cut out of the linen, and I made the adjustments that I wanted to make. And then I also got the collar and cuffs started. And so I have the collar done, and here the insertion lace is all hand sewn in place, and it took me about an evening and a half, but I like the result, and I decided to add this little dip at the center back. I don't know if that's period accurate or not. As I was playing with it, it looked really good, and so I decided to do it. So we'll add that, and I'm really excited about how that is turning out. And then I also have the cuffs started. Very weird looking right now. As you can see, it's not done yet, but the really nice thing about my width of my insertion lace is I just cut a slit where I wanted the lace to lie, and then I have an 1/8 inch seam allowance to work with when applying the lace. Because my lace insertion is about 1/4 inch wide, so I just cut that slit, and then 1/8 inch on each side opens the cloth up enough for this lace to go in. So I was pretty happy about that, and yeah, I just have a couple more evenings of doing this before I can attach them to the blouse, but hopefully the blouse will be all ready for these once they're done. So there's a little update.
As I mentioned earlier, I found an excellent blog post about these sleeve laps, which I will link down below. This is a method that I was very happy to find, and I think the results are stunning. To add extra time, because that's what we all do, I decided to hand sew the lap in place, just so I wouldn't have any visible machine stitches here, at least. And again, the point turning that I absolutely love. It is so soothing. Yes, I'm weird. I'm so glad I decided to do a drawstring on this blouse. I really like how it looks, and just having the tie at the waist is just an extra little touch. And yes, I did hand sew the bottom edge of the blouse. Again, why not spend extra time on a project that you're trying to finish quickly?
So it's finished. The blouse is finally finished. So it's been about a week and a half since I've really been able to work on this project. I basically got the buttonholes and buttons attached in that week and a half, and the rest of my time was spent making masks for our community. So I'm still doing that part-time, making masks, but I'll be able to devote a little more time to this project, hopefully, and get it done in time for my timeline that I want it done by, which is not a hard deadline, but it's been a crazy week and a half, and I am glad I went up that exercise because I just felt like the other one was just a little bit tight. I think overall it's good. So we can finally go onto the skirt. And the one not purchased pattern on this outfit is the petticoat. I'm basing it off of this ad here, and I've already drafted the petticoat. Yes, I just dragged the camera. Good thing it didn't fall. So this is the draft petticoat, and I messed up on the calculations for these bottom 2 flounces, so I had to make some adjustments. But other than that, the draft turned out really great. So I can now go and cut out the petticoat out of this fabric, which is not really historically accurate. But it's gonna work, and I think it's gonna look good. And also, since I'm replicating this petticoat in this ad over here, it was green, so I was like, that works. So I will have this pattern that I'm drafting right now, petticoat pattern. I'm selling it. I am hoping to turn it into a PDF printable, and you can actually, the link down below to pre-order it is down below. So if you want that, you can click down there and read that information. Of course, if you're watching like in past May 2020, it'll already be released and you won't have to pre-order it. You can just order it. So anyways, this is the one pattern that I didn't buy for this project, and I made my own pattern and I'm gonna try to sell it. So if you're interested in a World War I era 1910s petticoat, you can check out that link down below. Anyways, we're gonna start working on this petticoat and then her skirt, and we'll see how long that takes, because I'm planning to make about 10 to 20 masks a day to keep up with the demand. It's a lot to keep up on, but it's good cause, and we can all lend a helping hand during this time of crisis. So I am fine putting this aside. And then also, as I was making masks and had to set this project aside, it was just a really great reminder for why I'm making this project. Because I started this project out because the 1918 pandemic, and really just to think that's what they had to do during that era. They had to set aside their everyday activities, as disrupted as they were already by the war. They had to disrupt it even more so for this pandemic. And really, us in today's culture, we have to stay home, and yes, there's disappointments to that, and there's job loss and all that, but it was really just a good reminder for me to set those aside and work on something for this crisis and be okay with it, because that's what we do, you know? We help others, and my light just went out. Anyways, it was a good reminder, so I am looking forward to filming this perspective video, because that's the whole point of the video, as a reminder and perspective. So anyways, let's get to work on the skirt section.
For the petticoat, I am drafting the pattern myself. This is the one pattern I decided not to purchase. I based it off of that ad photo that I mentioned earlier, and I do have this pattern available to purchase, and there will be a full-length YouTube video about the construction of this petticoat that I will link down below when it gets posted. Please give it a view, and that is why I'm not doing much of a voiceover for this section, because all of that will be in the video. So that shall pop up and will be in the description when it's posted. And also, my favorite part about this whole petticoat is the vast amount of frills or flounces, whichever you want to call them. I decided to cut these actually as flounces. I decided to add a little extra dimension that way, and the way that I hemmed the edges made it much easier than trying one of my circle hem techniques, because these are basically cut on a circle. And that probably didn't make too much sense. So when I have that video posted, you can go view that and it will make more sense.
So, as you can see, the petticoat is finally finished, and I really like it. It's very twirly. I'm definitely enjoying twirling in this thing, and as I mentioned a little bit earlier, I have turned this into a printable PDF pattern. It's a pattern of this petticoat. It's in my size, what I made. You can purchase that and support small businesses, but also get a nice World War I era, 1910s era, whatever you want to call it, petticoat. And I did base it off this ad. So if you are interested in making one like that, feel free to purchase that pattern. Anyways, that's the petticoat. Enjoy the rest of making this 1918 outfit, and see you in a little bit.
For the suit pattern, I'm again using a Wearing History pattern. This is her 1910s suit pattern, but I do make some adjustments to it.
Hey guys, so quick update, and it's quick update because I did not have time to do my hair or really put on anything presentable, but hey, I'm repping Italy, so anyways, that's my look today. So quick update, I drafted the skirt and I used Wearing History's pattern. I just made a couple adjustments to make it this center front opening thing based on a little poll I did on Instagram, which one I should do, either base it on this picture or the Wearing History pattern. And it was 70% said this option, and I was kind of leaning towards that way anyways. So the adjustments I made is, so for the Wearing History pattern, she has two pieces that come up and meet in the center front, and buttons go along that center front seam. And so basically what I did, I just made those two pattern pieces shorter, so they ended more here, and then I took that mount and created a center front piece, which is this piece. I did add a little more flare to the bottom, just a little bit to help with what I took off and such. I also, along these seams here, it's not gonna be the regular like seam allowance right here. I'm gonna make a regular seam allowance up to here, and then I'm gonna jut over like this, and that will give me the ability to fold this under and have a nice thick piece right here for all the attachments of buttons and such to be attached to. That's my goal, so we shall see what actually happens. And then also I'm gonna create basically I'm gonna cut another piece that kind of stops right here, and this will just, so it'll be double thick wool right here. And the reason for that, at least my reasoning, is it will help this from wrinkling too much, and then also just, again, more sturdiness because there's more fabric for the buttonholes and such. So those are the basic adjustments to the pattern that I made to Wearing History's pattern. And now I'm gonna go cut it out and see how quickly I can make this skirt, because I really would like to have the skirt finished by tonight. Yes, I actually said that. So we shall see.
Once I had my draft cut apart so I could take the pattern from it, I then went on to cut out the skirt from this lovely blue wool fabric that I was given by my grandma. So it's actually a little bit extra special having that part of this outfit. It really is a lovely blue. The camera did tend to pick it up kind of weirdly. Some shots are different than others, and I will try my best to color edit it, but it is really, in person, a lovely blue color. And also, it was free, so it makes me double happy. I decided to finish off the skirt seams with twill tape. Instead of doing conventional seam finishes, I decided to do twill tape because, well, I just decided to. No reason really whatsoever. For the waistband, I decided to add a piece of silk organza in it, just to add a little bit of stability to the area and maybe keep it from wrinkling too much. I don't know if I did it correctly, but I decided to give it a go. And again, this is another very handy point turning point for you. Oh, look it, here's another point turning point. more twill tape, twill tape, twill tape, and more twill tape. And of course, I am hand sewing this twill tape down because, again, no visible stitches on this skirt. Well, except for the top stitching, which is the purpose of top stitching, but... Oi, we went on a little ride. I'm kind of in love with the inside of this skirt. I really like the contrast of the blue and the black twill tape. Just a little touch. Here you can see that I chose to use hooks and eyes instead of actual buttons and buttonholes. One of the main reasons for this choice was because, well, I'm just not the greatest at buttonholes, and I really did not feel like cutting holes in a very lovely skirt and attach hideous buttonholes. So, yeah. And a last-minute decision of some top stitching. I used a buttonhole thread for this part, and I'm very happy that I decided to do that because I think it adds a little extra dimension to the waistband.
So it's finished, finally, and I quite like it. It is pretty much exactly as I imagined it, which is always a good thing, and overall I am, just really happy with how it turned out. Of course, I did not get the coat done yet. That will come later and will be in another video, the making of that coat. So the blouse definitely took longer than I was expecting, but what did I expect? I mean, I was choosing to put insertion lace in it, so of course it was gonna take a while. And since I did hand sew all that lace in, of course it took longer. But I'm very happy that I did because the result is just, it makes me happy. This whole 1918 project definitely took quite a bit longer than I was hoping. About a month, a month delayed, I guess you could call it. But in that meantime, I made a lot of masks, and that's okay because I'm helping my community out, and that's way more important than my sewing project, at least for my case in this situation. But I'm very happy to finally have it finished, and I can go film my video now. That basically wraps up this video. I do hope you watch my perspective video on the 1918 pandemic that I will link. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to comment down below, maybe your favorite part of the project or whatever you feel like commenting, and be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And now go out into your own sewing area and learn, create, and inspire.